You have found Vagina Whispering, where we talk about everything from vaginas and orgasms to femininity, connection and love, intimacy, pleasure, intuition, menopause, and so much more. This is a safe place to have real conversations and make real connections. We're going to have a great time. We're going to laugh a lot, and we are going to fall in love with ourselves again. A quick note before we begin, the information we present here is educational in nature and is not medical or psychological advice, nor is it a substitute for seeking licensed healthcare services. Okay, let's drop you into the conversation.
Truth be told, recording was crap last week. You couldn't edit it because it was that bad. Last week, when I logged in with you, I had no intention of recording. I just needed my friend Noelle. I just needed to talk with you about what was going on. And I can summarize, but you might have a better recollection just because I've had things that have happened since our conversation. I had a really bad argument with my husband. The whole gist was he came in to the house. He normally comes in and helps me in the mornings for 15 minutes, and then we get to Teal in the car to school. He walks in, says, "Hi, Teal," walks right by me and goes into the bedroom for 5 minutes. And I know that sounds really silly, but those 5 minutes, it changes my time. I can get makeup on, hair done, clothes on in 5 minutes. So anyways, I got so mad. I was in the bathroom putting Teal's clothes on and getting her shoes on and brushing her teeth. And I role played in my head how I am going to say, "Hey, Alex, I really need you in the mornings to just give me all of that time." I role play the whole thing. It sounds lovely in my head. And he comes around the corner and the entire role played script goes out the window and crazy comes out of my mouth. I don't even know what I said, Noelle. It was crazy. I remember having the words come out of my mouth and being like, what are these words? This is not going to go over well. And sure enough, it didn't go over well, Noelle. And he said something, I can't exactly remember what he said, but he was like, "Oh, this is really healthy for Teal." So he pulled the guilt card and I lost my crap again. Then I walked away and went into the bathroom because I still hadn't had my 5 minutes to get ready to leave the house. I was so mad and I'm like, all right, he's right. It wasn't good for Teal, not appropriate. So I walked back out. Now, maybe this is a little passive aggressive. I addressed Teal and I said, "Your dad was right. I shouldn't have yelled in front of you. Mommies and daddies have problems. He's correct. This has nothing to do with you. This has everything to do with me and him. And I am sorry. I shouldn't have yelled. I did it." And Alex ignores me, doesn't respond to her or me about what I had said. Then that fuel sent more fuel to the fire because I was all, "You're not even going to, oh God," I just lost it again. And I'm like, wow. That was how that morning started before I chatted with you. Right? Okay.
Yeah.
Anything that I left out that you remember?
Then there was something
experience?
then there was something about you were sitting outside, the neighbor was out there, you were trying to really ground yourself. I think you were feeling kind of defeated. You really tried to have this good interaction and in some ways just felt really kind of out of control. I remember us talking a bit about hormonal changes. When you're in it, analogy is coming in, like when somebody's bipolar, things will hit different ways throughout the day. It doesn't even matter what the thing is. It's how they're doing emotionally or hormonally, let's say for you. It hits you that way and it feels like you can't escape it. You can't help it. You couldn't stop that runaway train, although you tried. And that was hard to just kind of be with.
Yeah, that's a great point. I was very defeated when I was chatting with you. I went outside with my phone and talked with you, and I was feeling so low. You said, "Let's imagine if we pumped him full of estrogen." And he just started crying for no reason. And you were like, "Who are you?" And then Alex would be like, "Who am I? Who is this? What's going on?" That was a very good analogy for me. So I wanted to tell you the resolution to all of this. Noelle's clapping. Yeah. So I had a great conversation with you. Alex was extremely snarky he sent a message to me that said, I know we need to talk about what happened this morning. I said, we need to talk about what happened this morning. And he said, yeah, but if we're going to have a constructive conversation, I better get a bike ride in today. Hey, I'm like, all right. He said it's snarky, but I was like, at least he's being honest. So I get Teal from school, do all the things with no help. I never get help. It's not because he doesn't want to help. He was working. So then he leaves work at 4-ish. So he's already put in a 10.5-hour day. But he works long hours. He comes in, breezes right by, says hi to Teal, breezes right by me, puts his clothes on, says, I'll be back in a little bit. And I said something like, yeah, a little bit, because his bike rides are never a little bit. So he leaves. He doesn't come back for almost 3 hours. I bathe Teal. I feed Teal. I get Teal ready for bed. And now what do you think's happening in my mind? I'm stewing like a goddamn motherfucker. I'm literally like, I'm gonna fucking kill him, right?
Yeah.
And yet, I took a deep breath and I said, he's doing what he needs, and I have to respect that. I did not go off on him because really wouldn't have been productive. I did say something like, that was a long bike ride. I was just stating the obvious. And I said, she's ready for bed. I went upstairs with her, and then she said, okay, I want Dad to put me down. She was all lovey on me, and then it was like a switch. He falls asleep up there with her. So now it's 10:15. I go upstairs and I wake him up. We still have not had our conversation. I haven't had dinner yet either. I'm like, I've got dinner made. He said, can we just watch a show? I'm like, nope. You said we were going to have a constructive conversation after your bike ride. So guess what? I don't care that it's 10:45. We're going to have this conversation because I don't want another day like we had today. So I wasn't being bratty, but I didn't want to have another day like we had. I felt crappy. He was in a tissy. I didn't want that. And I was like, Alex, I need to have this conversation with you. He's fine. Not exactly thrilled. So what I said to him was, I chat GPT'd this. And I don't think I had told you this when we talked. Had I?
No, no.
So I went on to my online therapist and I said, help me describe the emotional turmoil that goes on in a perimenopausal mind to a husband. And it was fucking brilliant. It said, this is what you're feeling and going through, but this is how I'd explain it to a man. And it gave me 5 examples. So you know what I did? I literally read the email to him. I said, I am going to read this to you. I'm going to read you the bits that I'm going through, and then I'm going to read you how ChatGPT says I should explain it to you. Throughout the process, I cried. And then I said, with one of them, I said, I need you to understand that I scripted this morning. So I told him exactly what happened and that how the words that were coming out of my mouth were not congruent with the conversation and script that I had in my head. I explained to him the estrogen thing that you said about pumping him full of emotion. And then I said, now let me help you understand why 5 minutes is really important. And I said, I think it was lost on you because of how it came out. I said, in the future, I need you to give me that full 15 minutes. Don't come in and brush your teeth. Don't come in and go do something in the bedroom. I need you present for those 15 minutes to help me. And I got to tell you, our relationship has been significantly better. He's even more understanding. This isn't under my control. And I think that's what men don't understand. I'm a very in control person. I know that might shock most of the listeners. I'm good with, all right, I'm a little out of control right now. I'm going to take a deep breath and I'm going to walk myself through this and I'm not going to lose it. I'm pretty good at that. Not right now. And it helped tremendously. The takeaway is that online therapist helped me dramatically shift the conversation. It was this other person in the room that was able to say, this is probably the best way to say it to him. And here you have it.
What a brilliant way to use that. Is freaking brilliant. And that he got to hear both your actual words and then the interpretation that he could relate to better. I love how you handled that. When it's late, it's hard to have a good combo when you're sleepy. It sounded like he just really needed to be receptive to what you were sharing. And you're like, every day is precious to me. I'm not giving up one more day to feel this way. And you made this super specific request that he can't help but understand. Even you saying at the beginning of this convo that you could get all those things done in 5 minutes was like, really? I would never have thought 5 minutes would be that important to somebody. But once you said that, I'm like, oh, okay. All right. You clearly communicated. You made a very specific request he could keep up with, because it sounds like he often was doing that kind of thing. Yeah. Wow.
And he didn't even know he was doing it. It had probably happened over and over, and I didn't even really acknowledge it until all of a sudden I was like, and here comes the volcano of lava out of my mouth. Yeah. The other thing that my online therapist was able to do was help him understand there are other things that he can do simply by better understanding. I think that was it, because I've seen him take deep breaths now when I start to lose it. And instead of feeding my fire with an eye roll or putting something down more abruptly, I see him take a breath. And I'm like, oh, right. Breathe. We're all right. Okay. And I need to tell him that I've noticed him taking breaths, and it has helped me calm my energy. I got to make sure I tell him that.
Just as you were saying that, the word hero kept showing up in my mind. And then I started hearing that song, I Can Be Your Hero. It makes me tear up. That feels like a really positive way to say, I could only imagine being you, seeing him do that in those moments. And you're like, holy crap, he's breathing for both of us right now because he sees I can't. And what a beautiful expression of love to be like, sweetheart, I know you're doing what a beautiful acknowledgement. He's not, Jesus Christ, Jennifer, blah, blah. You're right, because you are not controlled, or let's say contained. You're very contained normally. Even how you're rehearsing that conversation in your head and how you talked about that says a lot about how you carry yourself and how much you care about how you communicate.
If Alex ever listens to this, he's gonna be like, that scripting might have just started in like the last month. Because there are certainly times when I still lose my shit without scripting. However,
you're a freaking human being. Yeah.
It has been something that I have realized that I do. I will really quickly be like, all right, hold on, what's the best way to convey this? I'm trying to get better at that. I do really believe in communication. And that's exactly why I said I'm not going to ruin another day. There are plenty of times when we have arguments or discussions where I just know we don't need to talk about this. We can about it in 2 days when we have some time. I'm okay with putting things off if it's really not important. But it wasn't really a back and forth dialogue. It was, I needed him to hear me. And maybe his defenses were down because he was tired. And he heard me. It was kind of nice to have something to just read and be like, okay, let me add a little bit more to what that feels like inside. Or let me help you understand, give you some examples of when I feel that way. Because we do talk like that. Let me give you some examples of when you do this, I feel this way. And it's not necessarily you doing something wrong. It's just how I feel about what you're doing.
Yeah.
You've done much better.
It's so amazing to be witness to the evolution of a couple and how important how we communicate is. And also putting the idea of the onus somewhere, like on ourselves, learning how to not do that, really learning how to not do that. And another day would have gone by, had the same thing replayed, which it predictably would have, then you might have screamed in his face. It was very smart that you were like, no, not another day. Let's tackle this. I can't imagine the teamwork that you guys have had to really create to support Teal, much less every other part of your lives. Yeah.
Yeah, that was interesting. I also was very vulnerable. So that happened on a Wednesday. We record on Wednesdays, right? And then Thursday I was very emotional. And Friday I went and had a girl drive and we went and saw a movie and got coffee, and it was super fun, not something that either of us would ever do. And for the first time in a long time, I just blabbered to my friend. So this might shock you. I do keep things pretty close to my heart when it comes to people in the community, even though I'm exceptionally open with you.
And when you say you mean us, because it's anybody who's listening to the podcast.
Anyone who's listening could know it's us, to you all.
Yeah.
I don't share some of my vulnerabilities with my friends because I don't want to be the one that complains. But I guess I look at this podcast as our opportunity to talk real about what we're struggling with, go to spirit, ask for help, and do what we need to do for one another. And so that vulnerability is really easy here. I try to keep a lot of that locked away from my friends, especially around Teal. I don't ever want to be caught complaining about Teal. She's a brilliant human being. She's also really demanding on our relationship. And my girlfriend said, I don't know how you do it. And I was like, what? And she said, you just go, you just do a lot of different things. But she's done, I don't understand what it's like to have a child with a disability. Because I had said, you're not having to pull the underwear up from your 10-year-old and remind her, hey, we need to go to the bathroom now. And I'm going to put your shoes and socks on. You don't have to sit there and feed your daughter. You just say, what do you want for breakfast? And she eats a bowl of cereal. And then you're like, all right, get your shoes on, let's go. Not to say that's all peaches and cream. I don't share that I have to carry her downstairs or hold her hand while she goes downstairs. So it's not like I'm like, get up, come on, your alarm. I open the door and sing to her every morning and lay with her, get her out of bed. I was very vulnerable with her on Friday and it was good. I'm gonna stop blobbering.
No, you're sharing very real stuff. Now I'm even a bit more in love with you that you sing to your daughter every morning to wake her up. That is so sweet. That is so loving. Yeah, my goodness.
What the MNRI or doctor told me that. She would do well if you sang to her every morning. Just the first thing that she needs to hear is some music. I was like, all right. So I just started singing to her.
Aw. Do you have a particular song?
I sing just a good morning. Literally, I make it up. It's not a song. And it's literally like 3 or 4 like lines. And then I'm like, all right, let's get going. And it just changes so she doesn't get bored. And then we greet the lake and hello, beautiful day. Hello, beautiful day. How are you, my dear?
I love that.
The evolution of a couple, that needs to be the title of this podcast. You said it earlier. And I was like, oh my gosh, that's a good one. Spot on. It doesn't have to be if that doesn't feel right after you edit it.
No, that's actually a beautiful title. I just kind of want to be with that for a moment. I had to set some real boundaries about a young couple that I'm close with in a very volatile relationship. Their issues trigger each other tremendously. That's part of what ends up happening in a couple. The evolution of a couple. I had a lot of growing to do. I hadn't really been in an adult romantic relationship, and I had a lot of issues I hadn't resolved that I'm still working on trying to work through. I was having this wonder of Grant. He had so many good reasons that he should have quit on our relationship. I was very self-centered in a lot of ways. I wasn't feeling very connected or attached to him. It's kind of like, why did either of us stay? I didn't want to disappoint him. He's so kind. I also benefited. It's not like I was so sacrificing. It's interesting to sit with the idea of how a couple does evolve. Like two people who in my head, I had a fantasy, and I probably still do, of a couple that meets when they're young and they have a fun time together and then they have great sex. And then for the most part, it's good and they enjoy being with each other and then they choose to get married and it's like a dream come true. Yeah. My life was just the opposite of that in a lot of ways. And it's easy to make it wrong. I feel smart in a way that I ended up choosing somebody who was as kind and giving of a person that Grant is. And I'm so fortunate for that, because he really had to be very patient for me to kind of catch up with some of the kind adult ways that you stay in a romantic relationship and care about the other person. I'm grateful for that. He's given me more grace than at times I really did deserve. And I do feel like it's paid off. It still requires a lot of work. It's still hard at times and frustrating, but I feel like he's allowed me the space to grow in a lot of ways that I'm very grateful for. And I feel proud of who I am as his wife.
So just to bring you back to the individual that you had to set some boundaries with, just to loop back in, because you mentioned it and I don't know what the relevance was. Sorry.
Oh, sorry. Just seeing a relationship at the beginning that is just filled with volatility
Got
and
it.
almost like hostility at times. And how do you know to stay and choose to invest in this person? There are certain red flags. You have to be like, no, I cannot live with this and I cannot live with that. That crosses the line. And then say, this person is within the range of things I can cope with. And we have enough of the good stuff, or I could see the potential for the good stuff that, okay, I'm going to stay versus the fantasy.
That is a very good reminder for all of us. What are the areas of my life that I'm not willing to sacrifice for a partnership?
Yeah.
I'll give you a very personal
that,
example. Alex and I had been dating for 5-6 years, and I had moved down to Laguna Beach. He was in San Francisco. I had moved down there to start a company, and he crossed the line just too many times on my spirituality. Just funny, right? Because I've evolved 100,000 million times. That's a number. Since then, he used to call, when I would do seasonal rituals, he would call them seances. Irony of that is not lost on me because now I actually do talk to dead people, which is just really funny. But I lost my crap and said, I'm done. We had been together for 6 years, and I said, you do not respect my spirituality. And if you can't do that, I cannot be in a relationship with you. We broke up. There was one other thing in there that I broke up because our physical connection wasn't where I wanted it to be either. The irony is not lost on me as well. Okay, that one we're still working on. I think every couple does. But I did. I severed our relationship because he did not respect my spirituality. Or me, really, because when someone doesn't respect that big part of you that you're trying to develop and grow, because I was just in the beginning stage of starting to dabble in these things and find passion there and connection, and he did not have respect for it. I think that just reminded me of, you just really have to be clear. What are the items in any relationship, friendship, parent relationships, whichever relationship, that you're not willing to sacrifice? Deal breakers. Not just red flags, because I do think there's but do the red flags connect to a deal breaker? It's a red flag that Alex is never on time. It is, but whatever. That's not a deal breaker for me. It's something that drives me crazy, but it's not connected to one of my core values. People, he has tons of respect for other people. He just doesn't necessarily think that time is a way to respect someone, which we have really had conversations about. And you reminded me of that conversation of, what are your core values? And obviously you and Grant merged on enough core values that it worked. It felt right. It was something where you knew, I'm going to stay here.
You're right. That was it. The shared values, probably the one thing that's never changed. And it is it's a glue factor, but there's a lot of other things that you can work on. I remember my friend Rose giving me the advice so many years ago. Her one thing, they have to be willing as a partner. There were times when I wasn't willing. Grant wanted therapy years before I was willing to get into therapy. And that was a red flag for him, and it should have been. But I was feeling stuck and maybe resigned about our relationship getting better. Eventually, I changed that. And I hope I never become that way again. If something's not working, that I'm like, no, sorry, I'm not willing to put in the time or change. That sucks.
Doesn't feel good.
No, but he's never that way. There are times I'm like, really? Because it seems that way. But anyway,
that's okay too.
Yeah.
Our time is up.
I'm so glad that you came back around and you guys worked things through and you're more on the same page yet again, which is the basis of your relationship and every good relationship. I found this old quote: a successful marriage requires falling in love many times, always with the same person.
It's a good one. I think we should end on that. A good marriage is falling in love many times with the same person. That takes work, like you said earlier.
Yeah.
That does not just happen.
Absolutely not. It's a conscious choice. Oh, I love you too. And cheers to us and everybody else who is endeavoring to or already making a choice to fall in love with the same person over and over again every day, despite the work and the turmoil and the tears sometimes, and making the best of it, because this is our one incarnation this time around. So we want to make the best of it from the right place in our heart.
You just gave me chills.
Take care, everybody. We love you. Stay in touch. Reach out if you have something you want us to talk about. And if you want to talk about it with us, let us know that too. It's vaginawhispering@gmail.com. We would love to hear from you.
Like our podcast if you can, because that helps more people find us.
Take care, everybody. Bye.
Thank you.
Thanks for joining us. To access the interview on video, visit our Vagina Whispering channel on YouTube. If you have a topic you'd like to learn about, or if you have a specialist you'd like us to interview, please email us at vaginawhispering@gmail.com. And on a final note, while Noelle Dean is a licensed marriage and family therapist in the state of California, she does not provide any psychotherapy or other licensed healthcare services as the host. Any action you take based on the information contained herein is strictly at your own risk. Please refer to the podcast disclaimer in the show notes for further information.